I don't know if you all are noticing, but I'm noticing that 1 hour time change has me a little off kilter today, and I don't know why, but I think it does. Our centering thoughts and our cover this morning hold the quote from Archbishop Desmond Tutu. Do your little bit of good where you are. It is those little bits of good put all together that overwhelm the world. We need some little bits of good right now. And even though Election Day is in 2 days, that doesn't seem to be lowering the tension level for me and others that I know. And depending on the outcomes, it may heighten our anxiety for some of us. Get out and vote. That's what we need to do. We need to know what it is we need to do. Canvass, precinct walk, phone bank, we can all do our parts. I can look at the smiling face of the Archbishop on our cover of the Order of Service, and it makes me smile. With all the trials and tribulations that he has been through, he continues to smile. His quotes bring hope and gladness and show what a true leader he is. For those who don't know, he was born very poor in British Imperial South Africa, where there was hardly a hope that he could become whatever it was he wanted to be. He was known to say they were poor, but not destitute. He desired to become a doctor, but because of his family's poverty, there were no funds to pursue this. Instead, he studied to be a teacher, married the woman who became his wife, who was also a teacher. But in 1953, they both left teaching when they found it intolerable to work under the latest reforms that increased the apartheid system of racial segregation. He intended to enter seminary, but at first was turned away due to the debts that he owed. He was fortunate to have a benefactor offer to pay these off, entered seminary, and then became ordained in 1960. He rose through the ranks, first working as a parish minister, then being noticed and called to work as a theology professor in Britain. That's where it became apparent to him how freeing it felt to not live under apartheid. He chose, though, to return to South Africa to work against apartheid, where he gained more and more recognition, rising to bishop and then archbishop. He could have stayed in Britain, but he didn't. White conservatives in South Africa despised his work, yet he pushed on, receiving accolades and honors around the world, and even the Nobel Peace Prize. He is the person attributed to popularizing the phrase Rainbow Nation to describe diversity in his country. All the while, though, through his fight against apartheid, his light lit the way. Every picture I see of him, he is smiling and glowing and showing that light to us, showing us how living in gratitude makes the world a much more lovely place to be. I didn't know about him when I was a little girl. I wish I would have. I needed his light to shine for me. But I had a day that I have never forgotten that showed me how to have gratitude, how what I had or didn't have did not make me who I am. I was in the 3rd grade, and my friend Barbara was moving to Highland, Illinois. It was only 30 miles away, but to an 8-year-old, she was gone forever. I just knew I'd never see her again. So we decided to become pen pals. We would write to each other every day, or so we thought, and keep each other updated on our lives. We did that for the most part. And when she moved, she described her new house to me and her room, and I did the same, as she had never been to my house before she moved. So I told her about the yellow walls I had, and the white curtains, and the toys in the corner. I never thought she'd see it, so I made it sound wonderful, imagining a room with a country feel, a safe feel, all orderly and put together. Well, she did see it one day. She wrote me that she was coming for a visit. I was excited and terrified at the same time, for I had embellished a bit on what my room looked like. See, I slept in the dining room of our little one-bedroom house, with my brother on the other wall sleeping on a divan. That's what they called an armless sofa in those days. My parents had the only bedroom in the house. My bed was a window seat that my father had built in front of the window, where in the summer I could lay my head on the windowsill and stare up at the sky and see the stars. I would place my pillow half on the windowsill, get comfortable with my head on the pillow, and feel the breeze in the hot summer nights, as we didn't have air conditioning in the Midwest back then. And I would dream as I gazed at the stars. So when she arrived that day and asked to see my room, I had to tell her, "You're standing in it." These were my yellow walls and white curtains and my toys in the corner of the dining room. And I was mortified that she had to see this. I know she thought I had my own room. I had carefully misled her in my letters. I never thought she'd see the actual room, but she did. And as I showed her my toys in the corner, she wanted to play. And for her, all was forgotten, and this was my room. But for me, it was a deeper experience. I saw that I needed to own what I had and be proud that I had it. That it wasn't my room she came to see, but me. It didn't matter to her as much as it did to me that I didn't have a bedroom like the other little girls I knew or I saw on TV. I learned then to always tell the truth after that, and it would hurt less. When I was 14, we moved, and my father cut the attic in half in our house and created my very own room. I actually got a bed, my very own bed. I was able to decorate it however I wanted and was so grateful to have a bed that I was a teenager who made her bed every day. I loved how it looked when it was made. Making it look pretty with the bedspread smooth and the throw pillows leaning against the headboard with my Raggedy Ann doll lazily sitting in the front. And I'd start to collect more pillows and stuffed animals to lay on them. My mother never once had to tell me to make my bed. In fact, to this day, I can count on 2 hands how many times in my entire life I have not made my bed. It is what I do in the morning. It is what I gratefully do for myself every day. Fast forward to seminary, and I'm in a How People Pray class one day, and in our discussion, my bed making entered the conversation. And in speaking about it, I realized that making my bed every morning was a prayer and an expression of gratitude. I've never forgotten what it felt like to not have a bed and a room like I thought everyone else did. I now know I wasn't alone in not having a bed. There are millions of us around the world. This was something I never used to speak about for over 30 years. I was always too embarrassed to tell people what my childhood was like. I used to pretend when others spoke of growing up that I was just like them. In America, I thought everyone was at least middle class, or that's what I was led to believe. So to blend in and be like everyone else, I withheld those parts of me that didn't fit the American mold. What I discovered was that I was holding back those parts of me that made me, me. That it wasn't about the stuff. It was about my character, my values, my ethics. It's not what we have, it's what we are grateful for. That is the gratitude lesson I've learned over the years. When I am feeling lonely or deprived or impoverished, I remember that I didn't have a bed. I've had a bed ever since, so what in the world am I not grateful for? Now more than ever, I am grateful for what I have. Now more than ever, I see those who have less than me, and I know what that feels like. And I am grateful for what I now have. Not what I want, not what I can have in the future, but what I have right now. My prayers happen all day long, my little bits of gratitude, while making my bed, while cooking a meal, while being in my apartment cozy and warm and dry with a cat sitting on my lap. I feel grateful to receive phone calls and Skype calls from my friends and family and delight in those unexpected surprises when they call. My friend Barbara didn't visit me to see the things I have. She came to visit to see me. Today I am grateful for friendship, for community, for the people in my life that give me cause for gratitude. John O'Donohue has a quote. He wrote, "No day is ever the same, and no day stands still. Each one moves through a different territory, awakening new beginnings. A day moves forward in moments, and once a moment has flickered into life, it vanishes and is replaced by the next. It is fascinating that this is where we live, within an emerging lacework that continuously unravels. Often a fleeting moment can hold a whole sequence of the future in distilled form. That unprepared second when you look in a parent's eye and saw that death is already beginning to loom. Or the second you noticed a softening in someone's voice and you knew that a friendship was beginning. Or catching your partner's gaze upon you and knowing the love that surrounded you. Each day is seeded with recognitions." John O'Donohue. Each day is seeded with recognitions. Recognitions of those little bits of gratitude. Let us not pass those by. Even in the midst of dire circumstances, we can look for those little bits of gratitude. I am reminded of Anne Frank, who I admire so much, who we all know died at such a tender age and saw the good in those small moments. She is quoted as writing, "Think of all the beauty still left around you and be happy. I don't think of all the misery, but of the beauty that still remains. Whoever is happy will make others happy too." That these words could come from the mind of a 15-year-old girl imprisoned in an attic and who ultimately died in Auschwitz brings tears to my eyes. She saw the beauty in the everyday. She had little bits of gratitude that overwhelmed the world. For no diary has ever had the impact on this planet as the diary of Anne Frank. So can we not feel the gratitude for what we have? If she can endure, if Archbishop Tutu can endure, and they both remain so optimistic and grateful for life, surely we can do the same. It's not what you have, it's who you are. It's living our UU principles and being the best human beings we can be. Be grateful. Have a gratitude prayer cross your lips while you're making your bed tomorrow. It's not what you have, it's who you are. May it be so. Blessed be.